It's 4 o'clock on Wednesday and time for another exciting episode of Taxi's Quarantini Happy Hour. Woohoo! That was not a very enthusiastic woohoo, was it? Thank you, fake band. Thank you, fake audience. Let's see if anybody's out there in TV land. Nobody in that chat room yet. There must be a delay from the time, YouTube sends out a, hey, he's on the air until you guys actually get it. So I'll just sit here and entertain myself. I'm wondering, Space Muse is there. Good. I always wonder, am I actually broadcasting or has something gone awry? So thanks for letting me know that, Space Muse. Where are you from? Dan Weber's there. Hey, Dan, how are you? Where do you guys live? Cass McKenty, Goatman, yay. I saw your thing. I'm going to talk about tinnitus later. Peter Rahill, from his bunker to mine. Dean Turner, Daryl Berman. Oh, Space Moose. Got it. He's from California. Christopher Jones, Ron Kajawa. Hey, Ron. Phoenix, Arizona. Reuben Walton. Falmouth, Mass. Darren Fletcher. George Georges. Edmund Red. Darren Moss. Brenda Thompson. Wow. So, do you guys get like a thing that says it's live, or do you guys just show up, 30 seconds or a minute after I start because you hit traffic? Hello, Martin Gravel, Copper Cross Studio, John Pearson. Hey, John, I've got a gopher update for you. Apparently, gophers like carrot shavings as their last meal. Just saying. Not that I've had any personal experience recently. A little bell notification. Okay. Brenda Thompson just shows up. Oh, thanks, Brenda. Hello, Pierre. Coming to us from Hong Kong? Pearson goes, ha ha. Yep. I actually trained a gopher this morning. I was standing out in my backyard looking at all the gopher holes, and about 14 to 18 inches away from my toe, I see a little movement in the dirt. All of a sudden, a cute little gopher head pops up, and he looks at me, and I look at him. Not the first time this one has visited me personally. And then I remembered reading somewhere that gophers liked carrots. Makes sense, because that's what... I wouldn't care if the gophers wanted to live in our backyard. I care about the fact that they've ruined thousands of dollars worth of plants because they eat the roots. So an entire hillside that was planted with plants that, whose roots hold the hillside together so it doesn't end up in my neighbor's pool down below us, those plants are gone. 95% of those plants are gone, and a couple of gophers have done this much damage. So, anyway, little dude sticks his head up and was checking me out, and then, of course, you move an eyelash, poof, back down the hole they go. So I went inside and I took a carrot, took some shavings, and put them in the holes, and a couple of them like right on the edge of the holes. And sure enough, an hour later, I went out there, man, and those carrot shavings were gone. So it proved that gophers do, in fact, like carrots. So did I, because the trap that I'm using requires no bait. But I figured, what the heck? I'll add a little carrot bait. Let's just say, gophers like carrots as their last supper. I know, I don't want to get emails from all you animal lovers. I love animals too, but trust me, if they were ruining thousands of dollars worth of plants in your yard, you'd be out there. I don't know. I thought about buying one of Elon Musk's flamethrowers and sticking the nozzle in the hole and just... Anyway, so what I want to tell you about is yesterday. Remember, I was getting a phone call in the middle of yesterday's show. It was Bobby Borg, who is an author. He was the drummer in the band Warrant. And he was a taxi screener for many years, at least 10 years. He teaches, I believe, at USC now. He's taught at Musicians Institute. I think he's got his master's in business or in marketing. Bobby he's everyman. He really is. He's one of you guys, but he is so tuned in to marketing stuff that I love having him on Taxi TV. So he reached out to me the other day and said, hey, you want to have me on one of your Quarantini happy hours? I said, sure. I had him scheduled, but I wrote it in the wrong day in my book. And during the middle of the show, I'm getting all these phone calls. I felt terrible. I rarely, maybe like twice a year, do I ever blow a meeting or anything. So I messed that one up. So I want to let you know that Friday show is actually going to go 90 minutes. We're going to start at 4. It's going to go till 5:30, and Bobby Borg is going to join me at 5. So I turn my ringer off during the show. So if you guys would be kind enough to set an alarm on your phones and let me know that if I haven't called Bobby at 5 o'clock, that I'm messing something up. Also, I want to let you know that tomorrow we're going to be joined by a gentleman named Michael Walker, and we're going to talk about social media for musicians. My personal feeling about social media is it's great. Makes the world go round. People keep up with old friends and family members. It sucks a lot of time out of our lives. It can be a real time sucker. No doubt about that. But as far as a marketing tool, I have not yet found a way to make it as effective as emails. My staff, actually, I don't know who is doing the show today, who my producer is from afar. I don't know if it's Ariana or Bria, not Breer. But they've both done social media, and it just keeps getting better and better on our end. But it doesn't sell. It's not a place where marketing, Ariana's here in the house, yo. My personal observation, and maybe somebody else could prove me wrong, I'd be happy to know if they could, is that social media is great for letting people know about gigs, that sort of thing. But as my friend Ariel Hyatt said years ago, like 10 years ago on a panel at the Road Rally, and Ariel Hyatt is arguably the number one social media maven for musicians in the world. She said people don't go on social media to buy. They go there to be social. Maybe things have changed over those 10 years since she said that on the panel. I don't know. But Cass McKenty says it's better than crack. How would you know? Just saying. Anyway, so I really look forward to tomorrow having Michael Walker join us to talk to us about social media for musicians and the kind of stuff I'm going to ask him about. I want to know what percentage of musicians does he think do any sort of marketing or do a good job of marketing at all. My experience or observation over the years has been that musicians don't like marketing. They think that marketing equals selling, which it does to an extent, and that selling is dirty. They want somebody else to sell for them because they don't want the stink of being a salesperson, emanating from them. But you know what? If you're selling something that people want to buy, they actually appreciate you letting them know about it. If you're trying to cram something down their throat that nobody could give a damn about, then yeah, maybe there's a little stink associated with it. So I'm curious to see what his take is on the actual number of musicians that do any marketing at all. So many people put out records. We've all seen this, hundreds, if not 1,000 times over the years where somebody presses up 500 CDs. Some people still make CDs because they give them out at shows. And they end up with the majority of them sitting in their garage because they allocated no time, no money, and no effort to their marketing campaign. And that's every bit as important. You can make a great record, an amazing record, if nobody knows about it and if you don't have a hook for why people want it, then you're going to end up with a garage full of boxes of 25 units each of all those CDs. So I'm going to ask them that. Going to ask him how they can determine what will likely be the most effective type of marketing for their needs. I'm going to ask if anybody, if any one of the social platforms works better for music marketing or musician marketing than the others, and then ask him for, like what's a good first step, second step, third step. timeline so you'd see results, blah, blah, blah. So don't miss tomorrow's Quarantini happy hour because we're going to do that. Oh, let's see. I had other notes. Keep your eyes glued to upcoming taxi listings. I would say that we've got about 20. We've already been putting out quite a few of what I call the COVID listings. Remember, I predicted weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, that we would be getting a lot of companies asking us for songs about being hopeful and being together. We can get through this. And there's light at the end of the tunnel. And thank God for our, first responders and the doctors and nurses. I don't know how you write a song about them, but people should. All this stuff, including like sci-fi drones where they look through a microscope and see the virus crawling around on a slide. All this stuff I predicted would be getting asked for because everybody in Hollywood, every single person in Hollywood, I exaggerate, is writing a script right now for, movies of the week, Lifetime stuff, Hallmark Channel stuff. I'm sure feature films that will hit theaters when we're allowed to go back to them or when we're brave enough to go back to them. All that stuff. So we've already run, I would guesstimate, a half a dozen or more over the last week to 10 days. I just got an email before this show started from my A&R team, and they informed me that they are going to be sending me close to 20 different listings for me to approve and check out, and that they anticipate that these will start to go out over this weekend. I don't think you're going to see 20 of them at once, but I am telling you guys, because I love you, you're in the chat room, you show up for these shows, start making songs about that stuff now. And don't put in there, we're going to kick this virus's ass together. They don't want direct specific lyrics. They want universal lyrics, as we all know, but universal lyrics about getting through tough times, getting through this together, being alone together, missing people, losing people, sadly, which is, definitely going to be part of the script for all those things. So there you go. Start planning now. Get a jump start. You guys are my special ones. So giving you a little heads up. In the chat or in the comments section, after we do these shows, they go up on YouTube, I don't know, some minutes later. We've got to put the thumbnail together. They go up there. That's when you can go in, and I would really appreciate if you guys would go in and comment and give a thumbs up. By the way, I got a blue rubber-gloved thumbs up thing, an emoji today from a friend of mine. So now every time somebody texts me anything, including the staff members, everybody's getting the blue thumbs up. It's pretty funny. So, yeah, like us, give us a like. It doesn't cost you anything. It literally takes 1 second. So in the comments, I thought Cass McKenty, who's in the chat, there he is. He says hard for hydroxychloroquine to fit into a lyric. You know what? Let's have a little contest. On tomorrow's show, I want to see how you guys can rhyme, what you can rhyme with hydroxychloroquine. How about hydroxychloroquine? Thought you'd never been in my system before, but now I need you more than ever. Hydroxychloroquine. I've actually taken chloroquine, not hydroxychloroquine. I got, what do they call those little guys? I ate some oysters on a beach in, not Costa Rica, one of those funny little countries, Dominican Republic. Just warning you, if you ever go to a little village called Sosua in the Dominican Republic and you see a kid with a banana leaf thing on his head selling oysters, cute little oysters for like $1 a dozen, don't buy the oysters. Guess where he gets those oysters? By diving into the bay right in front of you on that beach and scraping them off a giant corrugated pipe that feeds the sewage from the town into that bay where people go swimming. Did I eat those oysters without knowing that? Yes. Did I come really close to dying in that village that had no doctor? Yes. Did I ride back from the Dominican Republic in the bathroom on the plane? I'd already been sick for like 4 days, like really, really dangerously ill. And when I walked onto the air stairs to go onto the plane, the flight attendant said, "I've never seen anybody this sick get on a plane before. Go in the head, the bathroom, or whatever, the lavatory, and stay there for takeoff, the full flight, and landing. I don't care. You look like you're going to die." So as soon as I landed, I got into a cab. I was by myself, went into a hospital, and what do they call that? Not an infestation, when you got little creepy crawly things in your intestines, in your stomach. That's what I had. Anyway, so yeah, don't eat oysters in Sosúa, Dominican Republic. Other than that, lovely little town, really inexpensive to go there. The water, other than the poop particles floating around in it, turquoise, crystal clear, great for fishing, great for scuba diving. The beach is amazing, and there's a bar there called the Treehouse that serves B-52s. And as you guys well know, I'm not much of a drinker, but did I drink a lot of B-52s in the Dominican Republic? You bet. They're good. It's a layered drink with vodka, Kahlua, and Bailey's in a shot glass, and they go down like candy. No, wasn't tapeworm, parasites. And the doctor said to me, "I've never seen anybody with a parasite infestation as bad as yours." And they gave me chloroquine, and I had to stay on that stuff. I had to take like 4 a day for about a week, and then 1 a day for 6 months. And here I am. I'm fine. Chloroquine didn't hurt me. So for all those newscasters saying, "Oh, chloroquine, let's not jump to any conclusions and take it. It may be unsafe." The drug's been around for like 60 years. It's fine. Whether or not it works on this stuff, I don't know. But apparently, I just saw something on the news the other day. Some doctor did a study, I want to say 1,200 patients in France that used hydroxychloroquine in combination with azithromycin, commonly known as a Z-Pak, and all but 2 of them survived, and the 2 that didn't apparently had other health complications anyway. So there you go. That was more information than you probably want to know. But getting back to Cass McKenty's comment in the comment section underneath the video, which I want every one of you to go there, because YouTube really likes it when we get a lot of comments. They give us, they just send me checks. Big, big money. Kidding. They don't send me anything. That's not true. We made $118 last month off of our videos. That will pay for 1 staff lunch. Anyway, Cass talked about tinnitus. Let's talk about it. So everybody who's got tinnitus, raise your hand. There's my hand. Let's see it in the chat room if you're comfortable talking about your medical issues. Hey, Jim Stamper, thank you for that awesome email that we just got from you recently. Somebody forwarded it to me. Really appreciate that. Actually, I would love to use that in one of my emails or something. So Cass raised his hand. Windchime says, speaking about hydroxychloroquine, a woman had some in her medicine cabinet already for something else that worked for her COVID. Dean Turner's got it. Tony Salazzo says he's got a tin ear. There you go. Lane Bell and Shrek. Hi, sorry I'm late. We're taking a head count. Polly's in the room. Everybody who's got tinnitus, raise your hand. Part of my tinnitus is screeching, high concert B, not quite in tune. Martin Gravel says YouTube's faster at demonetizing than sending checks. Justin Mather wants to know, what was the question? Do you have tinnitus, or tinnitus as the doctors call it, but who the hell really calls it that? Poppy Paul says, glad you didn't go to Haiti. You probably would have been robbed and killed. I hear the Haitians are very nice people. John Pearson's got it pretty bad. Boy, you wouldn't. It certainly hasn't affected the quality of your music or your mixes, John. Jim Stamper. Peter Ray Hill says he's heard banjo music cures coronavirus. Windchime says, my tinnitus was tone, now it's more like static. Anyway, okay, so several of us have it. It's pretty horrible. It's hard. It's impossible, actually, to explain to anybody, especially my wife, what it's like to have it. It's funny. My wife will say to me, we'll be in bed at night, and she'll say something, and if she says it as kind of like a mumbly afterthought, doesn't really just say it, I go, huh? And she goes, honey, go get your hearing checked. I've been telling you that because I've had tinnitus now for 25 years. I had a double ear infection, really, really, really bad one, really painful. I called my doctor's office to schedule an appointment, and they said, whatever you got will be gone by the time we can see you. Go to the ER. I hate going to the ER because there are a bunch of sick people in there. Like an idiot, I didn't go, and it started like 3 days later, and it's been with me since, the mid-90s, I think. And it's ironic that I didn't get it after working in the studio all those years and listening to, big, loud monitors. But mine is at 8.8K. I've done an oscillator sweep to find it. Anyway, John says he's got to move to another computer to send files, but listening to my feed. Thanks. I'm glad somebody is. Anyway, it's just, it doesn't go away. I've got it in both ears. One ear is a little worse than the other ear. There are occasions if I'm really tired, like around road rally time, I work a lot of hours and I'm always exhausted. The more exhausted I am, the louder it gets. Have you guys experienced the same thing? Is yours constant? Is it in both ears? Is it exacerbated by being really tired? I did just buy one of those ear cleaning squirty things. I'm going to try that with some warm water and see how that works. Space Moose has multiple frequencies. That's impressive and sad. Polly wants to know, Michael, when did you first notice it and what did you think caused it? Like I said, I noticed it couple days, once my ears cleared up from that infection, I noticed the ringing, and it got progressively louder over a period of a week, and it's been just right there. Other than when I'm exhausted, it gets louder, but it's been pretty bad. Cass McKenty says his has been constant, for the most part, been living with it for 35 years. Well, see, there you go. Your tinnitus lasted longer than a marriage in California. Maybe you should celebrate an anniversary with it. Take it out for a nice dinner. Make sure you sit at least 6 feet away from it. L. Harrison says the nerve damage was from continual exposure over the years. Then eventually it expresses as we get older. Oh, God, no, please. Depends on how much live music, headphones. Yeah, I always wear earplugs now. When I go to concerts, have for many years. Wow, Martin Gravel says some antibiotics are ototoxic. That's a word I've never seen, and I've got a reasonably decent vocabulary, especially when it comes to drugs. I've never heard that word, ototoxic. Ototoxic can induce tinnitus following a treatment. Well, there you go. So you cured your corona. Good news is you cured your COVID-19. Bad news is you're going to hear psst in your ears forever. L. Harrison says, don't despair, Michael. No, I've gotten used to it. I just worry that if it ever gets louder, I mean, people have literally killed themselves because they can't take it. Other people have had their auditory nerves cut and have chosen to be deaf over living with the sound. Mine is moderate. I mean, I hear it 24 hours a day. And my wife says I'm hard of hearing. I'm not, actually. She can be in the kitchen, which is, I don't know, 50, 60 feet away from the bedroom. I can practically hear her breathing from that far away. But there are certain frequencies that are masked by the tinnitus. So I've had my hearing checked quite often, actually, and they say, typical hearing for a person of my age. Let's see, what did a friend go through surgery, treating the pain increases? Cass says he asked because he had a friend go through surgery treatment and the pain increased to a suicidal level. I missed an earlier post. Are you still talking about tinnitus, Cass? Didn't you say recently there's a deep cleaning procedure that can cure it? There are. I actually ordered, I forget what it's called, an otoscope or something, where you can actually, I don't want to show you guys, I got it on my phone, but I've got a little device that I bought online that you can stick in your ear, and it's like little tiny camera with little tiny LEDs around. You put it in your ear, because I wanted to see how much crap was in there. I clean my ears with Q-tips. Apparently, that's not good. You're shoving gunk into your ears. L. Harrison says, I think it might have something to do with blood pressure also. I think it does. Thank goodness. I've got to say, I've got amazingly good blood pressure. Every nurse that's ever taken my blood pressure says, oh, look at that. Wow, you've got great blood pressure. And I don't think they mean a great deal. I think they mean, that I'm like right in the zone, which, I'm no spring chicken, so it's good to know. Dan Weber says, sorry if you guys have some hair. We're like a bunch of old Jewish people sitting in their rocking chairs on their front porch of their hotels or their apartment buildings in South Beach in Miami. My ex-wife, long ago ex-wife, and I, she had a grandmother that lived in one of those back in the day before South Beach became a thing. And we would go pick her up on Sunday mornings and take her out to breakfast at Sambo's. Can you believe Sambo's restaurant? Yeah, try and pull that off nowadays, everybody being as PC as they are. Anyway, we would go hang out, and we would do a little hi, how you doing, with all the other elderly folks sitting out there. All they ever talked about was their ailments. It was cute and sad at the same time. Cass says, yeah, he was talking about his friend had surgery for tinnitus. Wow. Yep. Today's episode, discussing our ailments. Reuben Walton says, I miss living in LA. I live on the outskirts of LA in a beautiful area with lots of green stuff, very clean green. We look out at a mountain range. It's wonderful. Does LA have some negative things? Yeah. The homeless thing here has gotten ridiculously out of control. I feel bad. No, that's a whole other show. Martin Gravel says, often tinnitus is about a nervous system loop and simply no sound at all. It's kind of internal. I believe that. Windchime says, I've had tinnitus since I was a kid. I've cleaned ears with peroxide for the last 10 years. No infection since. That's good to know. Ken Bearden says, let tinnitus unite us. There you go. That was a song by Johnny Unitas, the great football player. He says implies, not simply. Sorry. I don't know where that one went now. Yes, and gophers unite us. Peter Rahill says, doctor, it hurts when I do this. Doctor says, well, don't do it. Dan Weber feels bad for all of us. Thanks, Dan. Lane Bell and Shrek says, is this mic on? Lane, I got to ask, are you green? Last name like Shrek, what? I'm just saying. Justin Mather, what? Oh, yeah. It's funny. My wife thinks that it's a hearing problem that causes me not to hear her. Deb, if you're watching this show, actually, she was awake. I talked to her about 10 minutes before showtime. She is sitting in bed working on taxi stuff in Israel right now. Exciting life that my wife has. Justin Mather, what's the update on the gopher situation? Well, I gave that at the front of the show, but I will give you a quick recap. The score is 2-0 with me winning. I had a gopher this morning, kept sticking its head out of the hole, just like a foot or so away from me, and looking at me. And then I remembered that somebody said gophers like carrots, which makes sense because they eat roots. That's their main diet. So I went inside, shaved off some carrot bits, and tossed them in and around the holes. And sure enough, man, that gopher, he would take the little pieces of carrot and then cover the hole back up, which gophers do. They don't like light, which is understandable. And so I took my Gopher Hawk gopher trap, which I'm telling you, I want to endorse that product because it's awesome. You don't need to bait it with anything. They just need to kind of walk through it and they meet their maker. But somebody said, put carrot shavings underneath it when you stick it in the ground. I did it, and that gopher won't be looking at me anytime soon. Sorry for all you animal lovers out there, but they are cute little creatures, but man, can they ruin a yard. Not just a yard, they've ruined thousands of dollars worth of plants, and now I'm going to have to replant the whole hillside so that our neighbor doesn't end up with our dirt in his pool the next rainy season. Martin Gravel says 2-0. Great, you're doing well. Yeah, did you know that gophers are very territorial, and apparently they take a 40 square foot area, and there probably isn't another gopher in that area. So I wonder, what does a gopher do when it has babies? Do they kick the kids out right after they're born as soon as they can go and dig their way through their dirt? Do they go, okay, get out of here, kids, I want to be an empty nester? Let's see. Peter Rahill says 2-0 Michael leading at the end of the first quarter. Who says we don't have sports? Here's the problem, is that apparently after gophers meet their maker, other gophers will move in. So I've actually fantasized, you know, those cranes that they use on construction sites with the like hose that pours concrete up high. I've been thinking about getting a concrete mixer to park in my driveway and running the concrete hose into my backyard and filling up all the gopher holes that are underground so I wouldn't see it with concrete. How cool would that be? Because right now it's like Sim City in gopher land out there. Seriously, if you jump up in the air and come down, you're going to go through the crust and into Gopher City. Michael, without spilling the beans, and what's written on the bottom of your mug? This mug? Nothing. Oh, you're talking about this mug. All right, so this mug has a story. So our daughter, who we're empty nesters now, she doesn't live in the house anymore, but she made this. She is, I shouldn't hold this over my laptop. She discovered coffee when she was like a junior or senior in high school. And she's one of those people doesn't wake up well in the morning, so she made this mug at a Color Me Mine, where when it's full, shh, don't talk to me yet, then shh, and then almost ready to talk, and then you may speak now. And then she put the girl's side on one side and the boy's side on the other. And I only drink from this mug now because it reminds me of my kid who lives 7,500 miles away. And every day I feel a little closer to her because of that mug. It is a classic cast. Paulie says he's got a coffee-made mug that he cherishes. She made it for me on Father's Day when she was 5. Also made it at Color Me Mine. Yeah, somebody should open up a place like Color Me Mine that just makes face masks. You go in there and decorate face masks because I have a feeling that's going to be the new hobby, right? All right, we need another topic. I think we've covered gophers, hydroxychloroquine, coffee mugs, and tinnitus. Anybody else before we get off tinnitus? Anybody else have any good ideas for getting rid of it? Color me mask. There you go. Oh, here we go. Darren Moss says, record labels like to see that an act is doing well on their own. What are some of the best examples of an artist promoting and marketing their own work that you've seen at Taxi? Honestly, I'm terrible at remembering song titles and names. My staff knows this because every day I go, what was the name of that member? At the end of the road rally, when I have the staff come up and take a bow at the end of the rally, I literally, on my little list of notes, I literally have to list out the staff's names. I always forget names. I draw blanks. I've been this way since forever. Neil Young used to make fun of me in the studio. I could not remember a song title to save my life. He literally would poke fun at me for that. So, do I remember any Taxi members that have been remarkably good at promoting their own stuff? No, but I do have an important observation to make, which is back in the day, and I'm talking 70s, 80s, 90s, especially the 90s, I would say, record labels wanted to sign acts that proved to the label that they could get out there and do it. So they looked for acts that built a following. And a lot of acts used what I always called the concentric ring theory, which is, let's take a city like Philadelphia. You would play the local hotspot clubs, like the Middle East was a club that I think all Philadelphia-based bands played that club. And then you would do the 2 or 3 clubs kind of in rotation downtown and build up a following. Then you would expand outside like a 10-mile circle, circumference outside of Philly, and go identify on a map what those clubs were, reach out to the bookers there and work those clubs. Once you got to the point where people are lined up for your shows, then you do like, a 20-mile concentric circle, and then 50, and then 100. And before you know it, after like 2 years of that, you will be doing an area like the Northeast Corridor. When it gets to that point, the labels would find you because they have people, like field sales reps and marketing people that are out there. They work the local record stores and make sure the posters are up and the displays are in the right place and enough stock is in the shelves. And they hear about local bands. That's how they hear about them. Oh, did you hear, the band Brooklyn has people turned away at the Middle East every weekend, and now they're playing gigs in Maryland. Oh, look at that. They're playing gigs in New Jersey, and they're playing stuff. Wow, look at that, as far away as Atlanta. And before you know it, the labels will put somebody on an airplane and send them out to scout a show without the band even knowing about it. And if the scout likes what they hear, maybe after the show they approach them and take them out to dinner and get the full story. So that same work ethic and that same sort of systematic marketing work and doing your own stuff. When you go to a city, when you expand your concentric circles and you go to a new city, you leave the gig in city number 1, let's say on Friday night, and you're going to another city to play a gig on Saturday night. Well, you do the driving in the middle of the night so that when you get to city number 2, you put posters up in all the right places in city number 2 in the morning. You advance the show by calling local radio stations and saying, hey, would you like us to come by and give you some product to give away on the air and do a little interview? Absolutely. So you do all that kind of stuff. You also reach out to other local bands in those towns and say, hey, here we are. Nice to meet you. Here, take a copy of our CD. And by the way, we're based in Philly. So tell you what, why don't we work out a little collaborative thing where, how about if we open for you at one of your shows 3 months from now, and in kind, we will do a little quid pro quo, our favorite term this year, and you will we'll let you open a show for us so that we can both expand our audiences because each of us has a big draw in our home base city. So that's how it's done. Well, that's how it's done now, too. Admittedly, it's a little different because social media is part of it now, and that stuff didn't exist back then. They would still love to see an act that could sell out a club or sell out 10 clubs or 50 clubs or 100 clubs. But social media is part of it now, and social media is a big part about getting people to go to those clubs. So the same people, and let's say it was the 1/10 of 1% of everybody who was desirous of signing a major label deal back in the day when that was the prize, or the brass ring that everybody went after. It was like 1/10 of 1% of the people that got signed. They have people in A&R departments at record companies right now not today, but yeah, I guess they're working remotely. Their job is to go online every day and scour social media looking for stuff that's blowing up. And they actually turn in weekly reports to their bosses. It's kind of a crap job, and I know a couple people that have done it. It doesn't pay very well. It's not glamorous. Sadly, most of the people that do that grunt work never really rise up, through the ranks and become VPs of A&R. But some do. A few have over the years. I had a friend who, he might still be doing it. He's, probably in his early 60s. And he was a really good statistician. And he was one of the first to do it. He was doing it like 15 years ago. He was looking for anywhere there's smoke, there's fire, was what he always said. And labels love pouring gasoline on a fire. That's what they do. They want to see that you have proved to them that you've got the work ethic and you will get out there and hustle. It's not that they necessarily want you to do the work for them, although that's nice. They want to see in you that if they sign you, you're going to continue to work hard, and you're not the kind of slacker that thinks, hey man, all I got to do is write some really groovy songs and sing my butt off, and then a label's going to sign me. They're going to put me on a private plane and send me to all these great cities. I'm going to stay in really fancy hotel rooms. They're going to pay for everything. They're going to do all the work. I'm going to get famous. I'm going to get rich. No, it's a collaborative effort with you and the label and your management, by the way. Good managers are important. Patrick Adams just got home and tuning in. Hello, Patrick. How are you? Home from where? You went out? Dear God, man. Brad Gray says, do you think we'll see more bands building a live virtual audience? Let's just say that there are far more acts doing living room concerts and such than we could have ever imagined. Zoom is doing landmark business right now, I'm sure. And the sad fact is that the vast majority, I know somebody who I adore that is doing those shows, and I've tuned in, and there's a handful of people there. Why? Because you need to have an audience that's big enough, an email list, a following on Facebook and on Twitter and Instagram and probably now TikTok. You need to have a big enough following, because only 0.5% or 1% of the people who are on your list are going to show up for anything. In the world of marketing, going back to the days of direct marketing, when the reason you still get direct marketing pieces in the mail is because they generate money. And the rule of thumb is, if you hit 1%, if 1% of the people that get that thing about, subscribing to the Wall Street Journal, which has had arguably the most successful direct mail campaign in the history of marketing, if you get 1%, you're making a crap ton of money. If you hit 2%, you've just won the gold medal in the Olympics, in the marketing Olympics. And that's even with the cost of paper mailings. Because if you're somebody like the Wall Street Journal and you've got 2 million, do I have a calculator? Yes, I do. So let's say that you've got 2 million people on your email list or on your paper mail list, okay? times 2% gigs. Invalid format times 2% equals 40,000 people. Okay, so now let's say you do $1 per unit to send that stuff out. So you have spent $2 million to do a mailer to your list if you're the Wall Street Journal. I have no idea what it costs to subscribe to the Wall Street Journal, the paper version, but let's say that it's, I don't know, $100 a year. So now you've gotten 40,000 people that have subscribed because of that mailer, and that's times $100. So you brought in $4 million. Who among us would not invest? Would you not invest in something where if you put in $10, you get 20 back? We'd all do that every day, all day long. I don't even think drug dealers make that kind of return on investment. So there you go. What the hell was the question? You get me talking about marketing, I will go all night long. Brad Gray says, are there any marketing pros that want to start a band with me? Well, make sure you're here for the shows we're going to do. Tomorrow we're going to have Michael Walker, who's going to be, talk about social media marketing. And then Friday at 5 p.m., we're doing an extra half hour on the Quarantini happy hour, which we should call it the Quarantini happy hour and a half. Bobby Borg is going to join us, and he's going to talk about this very stuff. Darren Moss has another question. Record labels like to see that an act is doing well on their own. Excuse me, what are some of the best examples of an artist promoting and marketing their own work that you've seen at Taxi? Again, I'm really bad at remembering stuff like that. Honestly, if somebody was that good, they wouldn't need Taxi because they're doing it on their own. But, I mean, look, Justin Bieber, he started out doing that. Didn't he start out doing covers on YouTube? Oh, here's somebody for you. A young lady named Tiffany Alvord, Alvord. I had her on a marketing panel. She was like 16 years old. I had her on a marketing panel with a bunch of VPs of companies and industry marketing experts. That girl at 15 or 16 years old was killing it on YouTube. Oh man, there's another guy that actually got signed to a publishing deal because he did so well on YouTube. I think his name was David Choi, Choi. He ended up getting signed to a publishing deal because he was discovered on YouTube as a result of his work ethic and relentless posting of YouTube videos and answering every comment below and adding people to an email list and doing shows and doing live broadcasts of him in the studio. All that stuff fosters engagement. Just like you guys show up for this thing. We have a relationship. It's not a phony relationship. It's a real relationship. Are we using, zeros and ones going through a wire? Yeah. But we know each other now. So David Choi did the same thing way early, before a lot of other people were doing it. So did Tiffany Alvord. And David got signed to a publishing deal, I want to say by Warner Chappell, and ended up getting some cuts on some big records with big artists because of that. Peter Rahill says that's how Taylor Swift built her fan base, so I've heard. The stories about Taylor Swift are varied, and I'm sure that there are varying degrees of truth in there. But you know what? I am not going to take this away from her. Everybody in the industry knows that she started out when she was a kid. I think she was 11 or 12 years old. And she pounded pavement in Nashville. And I mean, I think that she had some family money behind her. They footed the bill for stuff. But the kid was relentless about doing everything she could. You know what? People who live it and breathe it and do it because there is no plan B for them. There was no plan B for me when I started Taxi. If you want to, I'm absolutely convinced you can succeed at anything if the product is good and you're willing to work stupid hours. Stupid hours. I mean, here I am, 28 years into Taxi. Have I been working 12 to 16 hours on weekends during the lockdown? Yeah. Have I been working 12 to 16 hours the other 5 days a week? Pretty darn much. That's the kind of commitment it takes. But you know what? It's not that hard to do if you love what you do and you're proud of the product. Peter Rahill says, 11 years old to Nashville bearing cookies. Dad had dollars too. Patrick Adams recommending a book, Making Money with Music by Randy Chertko and Jason Feehan is a great book. Good to know. Yeah, all this stuff is time consuming. You know what? I want to I want to smack people upside the head. That's like, nobody likes my music. Everybody's trying to keep me out of the industry. It's really unfair. The Taxi screeners didn't forward me. Well, hold on. Bite me. Those people just aren't working hard enough. It means they're not working hard enough at creating great music, and they're not working hard enough at promoting it if they've got it. Billie Eilish has a similar story. There you go. Ray Hill liked my sound effects. Yeah, and for those who aren't willing to do the work, this is how they end it. Boom. Sorry, I would not recommend suicide for even people I don't like. Who have I met that has the best work ethic? It's something you keep coming back to and makes total sense. Well, of course it does. Oh gosh, I don't know. Half the people on the panels at the road rally. Look, sometimes I feel like, gee, do I have too many of the same people coming back and being on panels at the road rally? But I get the best of the best. The reason the road rally is so good is because I don't put people up on those panels or in the chairs as mentors unless I know that they've got something to share with the people who are coming to the road rally. I love the panelists we have at the road rally. And have I said road rally enough? Yeah, Marcus Cohn, one of our members, Matt Vanderbo. Yes, these are all great examples of Taxi members that have ridiculously good work ethics. Matt Vanderbo, man, the guy built a studio in a tool shed that the rest of us would put a riding lawnmower in. And, I mean, he's a single dad. He used to have joint custody with his daughter's birth mom. Now he's got sole physical custody of his daughter. And he had to fight really hard, go through a very long, painful couple of years for that. But he still works really hard. And I watch both Marcus Cohn, and I'm so glad you brought those up, Paulie. Marcus Cohn and Matt Vanderbo are two shining examples of Taxi members who saw the light. They came to the road rally and went, oh, that's how you do it. And they learned that from, their previous members like Matt Hurt, great example. And these guys went home, got off the plane and said, I am going to do this. And within a year, they were seeing significant progress. Did they make any money in the first year? Probably not. Did they make any money in the second year? Probably some. Are they both absolutely beyond any shadow of a doubt going to retire with at least $1 million in the bank just from making music? Absolutely. I would literally plunk down $10,000 on that bet, and I'm not a betting kind of guy. Yep, and John Pearson says they're both really nice people. They are. They're incredibly nice people, like phenomenally nice people. You know what? assholes, well, sometimes they do win, but they shouldn't win. And I think you're much more likely to be a winner in life if you're a nice person. Just treat everybody like you want to be treated, right? What are the chances that there will be a road rally this year? The dates are booked. The sponsors are excited that it's in November because that gives things time to simmer down. I want to know, I mean, it's who knows what we can believe on the news every day, because the CDC, the WHO, all those guys, they're figuring it out as we go, and understandably so. Might we all be, wearing masks and gloves if we go to a movie theater? Yeah. Are we going to go to a movie theater 3 months from now? We'll see. Are 2,500 people going to come to the road rally? I don't know. I hope so, but I wouldn't want anybody to come if it's not safe for them to come. I don't, no, this isn't political, I guess, but look, when this whole thing started, people are saying it's not really worse than the flu. It turns out it was much more contagious than the flu, but because our president did say, that's it, no more flights inbound from China, no more flights inbound from Europe. He took a lot of grief for it, and it probably saved a lot of lives. The media doesn't want to admit it, but I will say it. Not being political, just stating a fact here, at least what I think is a fact. And so in the end, I mean, what are we at right now? 26,000 people that have died from this thing, and they were predicting, 100,000 to 250,000. Look, for the 26,000 people that died, for their families and their loved ones, this has been horrible. Could you imagine, 1 minute you've got a parent, you're a kid, and the next minute or the next day you don't because of a disease that came here from thousands of miles away? But could have been the flu. And if I remember correctly, so far, right now, of course, who knows what will happen in the days to come. And I'm certainly not an expert, and I'm certainly not employed by the CDC because of my vast medical background. But in the end, right now, at this moment in time, it's looking like this may not be any worse, counting the number of deaths than the flu. I could be wrong about that, but I think I'm right. But it might have been because of all the mitigation that was done. It's probably largely due to the fact that we did close our borders to countries that were sending us tons of people that were infected or didn't even know they were infected. Could it be because we've all been sitting in our houses now for 3.5, 4 weeks? Yeah, all that stuff. Do we want to have to go through this every year if it keeps coming back? No. But this year, for the road rally, I don't know. Let's see what happens. Today, as of today, when I was eating my lunch and I watched a little news, they're saying, that it could come back in waves when, back around next December, January. Well, the road rally's in November. If we go through a summer where it's not an issue, would you guys feel comfortable getting on an airplane? Would you feel comfortable being in a ballroom with 1,000 people? I would love to see a taxi road rally where we're all wearing masks and gloves. I think it would be a hoot, and it would probably be a good thing. But if we have to, we'll skip a year and do it the year following. Who knows? Paul says, reached 2 million cases today in America, I'm guessing. And we are currently at 28,000 deaths in the U.S. Standard flu viruses A and B kill between 25,000 and 60,000 people every year, with 3 to 5 million cases around the world. So there you go. Who knows what the numbers will be tomorrow? Who knows what the final outcome is? The only thing that I know for a fact that I think we can all agree on with great certainty is for anybody who's lost a family member or a friend, this thing was the end of the world. And I hope that, we can get past this. A vaccine will go a long way. Justin Mather wants to know, we got to go in a minute because almost 5 o'clock, but Justin Mather wants to know, what's Shirelli been up to? Is he working and doing okay? Yeah, as I'm looking out the window in front of me, I can see a big honking tree in his backyard. So he's that close to me. And that I haven't talked to him since, I believe, Tuesday of last week. So it's been 8 days. I was heading out to the grocery store and called him to see if he wanted me to pick up anything for his family and drop it off on their doorstep, and they didn't need anything. But he's fine. He's been working. He works mostly out of his home studio. He does most of his mixing in home studios. There are projects that require him going to a room with an SSL or a Neve, but the vast majority of his work is done at home anyway. So he's fine. Cass McKenty says Sweden is the outlier to keep an eye on. They've done no mitigation, but yet the hospitals are not overrun yet. Wow. Lane Bellentrek says we should have taxi masks. That's true. All right, it's 5:01. I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as I did today. This was great. I love just hanging out with you guys. When we all get to go back to work, I'm going to miss doing this every day. I got to say, it doesn't take a lot of effort on my part. I only spend like 10 minutes in preparation for it, whereas sometimes for Taxi TVs, I can spend, 6 or 8 hours on a weekend prepping for the Monday show. So this has been great. Thank you guys. Don't forget, please log on tomorrow, like 2 minutes before the show is going to start, because it's a little disconcerting when I log on and I see an empty chat room. So join us tomorrow. Don't forget, tomorrow is Michael Walker talking about social media. And Friday, we're going to have Bobby Borg join us at 5 o'clock. Both shows start at 4 o'clock. Stay safe, stay healthy, wash your hands, and go in the comments. Go grab a beer or something. And 5 minutes from now, 10 minutes from now, go back to the Taxi YouTube channel and leave some comments down below. Give us a thumbs up. And I will see you dudes and dudettes mañana for another Taxi Quarantini happy hour. Bye, you guys.